Okay, we're going to convert this factored form. We're going to convert this vertex to factored form. So while it's in vertex, let's go ahead and identify the vertex as -3, 9. We cannot go straight from vertex to factors, so we do have to put it in standard first. So we're going to do order of operations. So we're going to do our exponents first by expanding the exponent. We have 2x plus 3's. So we are going to multiply this binomial. Then we will multiply each of those terms by -1. And then in the end, we will add in 9. We're creating a perfect square trinomial. And now we're going to distribute this negative only to the trinomial. And now I can bring in the plus 9. And this is standard form. Notice -9 plus 9 is 0. So my y-intercept, if it was asked, would be 0, 0. Now we need to factor this. And we're going to use, we're first going to factor out a GCF. Again, we should always ask that. So we only have these two terms, and they both have a negative and an x. So I'm going to factor out a -x, and I'm left with x minus 6. So this would be factored form, but we're finding our roots. And so we're going to set each of these equal to 0. So here I just need to get rid of the -1. So I'm going to divide, and x equals 0. Here I'm going to add 6, and x equals 6. Okay, for this one, our vertex is -4, -2. We are going to convert it to standard first. Again, I'm creating a perfect square trinomial when I square a binomial. So I get x squared plus 8x plus 16. I'm going to multiply my 1/2 only to the trinomial. And now I can bring in my -2. So this is standard form. But again, now we need to get it into factored form. So I have to factor out my 1/2. So when I factor out 1/2, I'm left with x squared plus 8x plus 12. Now, because when I'm dividing each of these by 1/2, so let's just take the 4x. 4x divided by 1/2 is the same as multiplying by the reciprocal, and that's how I get 8x, the same with my 6. And you can check yourself because you could distribute the 1/2 back out and make sure you got back your original problem here. Okay, now we have this trinomial. We still have our 1/2. We're not going to forget to bring it down. So our graphic organizer, 1 times 12, and then we have 8. So 6 times 2 is 12, and 6 plus 2 is 8. Our a is 1/2. Because this new a inside this parentheses, once I've factored the 1/2 out, because it is a 1, we don't have to regroup. So we're going to have x plus 6 times x plus 2. So this is factored form. So if I set each of these factors to 0 and solved, I would get my two roots as -6 and -2. Okay, number 10, given the data points, determine the equation in standard form. Give the roots in the y-intercept. Okay, so here, so instead of it being in a table like you're used to, I'm just giving it to you in a list. So these are my my roots. So I have -6 and -2. Whoops. Okay, so we're going to write an equation, and I have to use factored form. Okay, so my P is -6 and a Q can be -2. So I'm going to say f of x equals some a value, x minus -6, x minus -2. Now we're going to plug in -4 for x and -2 for f of x. And now we're going to simplify. So we have a times 2 times -2. 2 times -2 is -4a. We're going to solve for a. And now we can put it all together. I have 1/2, and then I have x plus 6 and x plus 2. So we have to write it in standard form. So I can come down here at the bottom. So we are going to have 1/2. We're going to have x squared plus 2x plus 6x plus 12. Combine my like terms. And then now distribute the 1/2. And I have 0,6. Okie doke. Moving along. Again, these are my roots, my x-intercept, so -2 and 4. My P is -2, my Q is 4. So we're going to have x minus -2 times x minus 4. We're going to plug in 3 for x and -10 for f of x. We're going to simplify the right side. Five times -1 and solve. A equals +2. Okay, let's come down here and write it in standard form. So we have x squared minus 4x plus 2x minus 8. Combine your like terms and distribute your 2. Whoops, that should be minus, sorry. Minus. Okay, so my y-intercept is 0, -16.